Hear me and hear me well. Stay away from men who play the victim in problems they created. I got a DM from a sister talking about how she needs to heal faster, which is great. I got all kind of resources, videos, etc. But the purpose for her healing faster is to make her man who hurt her and caused her to heal more comfortable. Essentially, she's trying to get him to see that she does care about the relationship and she does care about him, but she's struggling because he's the one who broke her trust, broke her capacity, messed up her mental health, and that's what she's trying to recover from. Essentially, he wants to be more comfortable with the bed that he made before he lies in it. And he wants her to be the one to make the bed. I stopped her right there. I said, look, I'm all for supporting you in your healing. I am all about fast tracking results the right way, whatever you got going on. But you got to first get away from the person that has now become the victim in a situation they created. You see, this ain't just manipulation. This is literal identity theft. This is victim identity theft. Not that I'm wanting you to identify with being a victim, but that's legitimately it. He has victimized you and now turned everything around to how you're the wrongdoer. You're the problem because you're not healing fast enough. You're not recovering fast enough. You're not responding well enough to a situation you never signed up to be in the first place. Put I down in the chat if you've ever dealt with a man like that. And I know there's women that do it too. Let me be very clear. This is gender neutral, but it's a woman that inspired this who's going through this right now. That's like, I think men don't mind choosing themselves. This is why I don't talk to us. I do talk to us when it comes to accountability, but a lot of times when it comes to things where a man needs to set the right boundaries and stop people pleasing and prioritize himself, we ain't got a problem prioritizing ourselves. But I see a lot of women who are empaths. Y'all love hard. Y'all got all of this vision for a man. Y'all see the potential. And so many times, man, I'm just like, why do y'all let these do? I don't get it. But put I down in the chat. Let me see. Matter of fact, let me look over here. Yeah, okay. So some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. It will damage your mental health. You'll start feeling like you're wrong for bleeding on him when he's the one who stabbed you. Let me bring it a little bit closer, matter of fact. Let me bring it a little bit closer. You'll feel like you're wrong for crying too loud when he's the one that drew the tears. It'll have you basically abandoning yourself anytime something goes wrong. I'm not saying that you always the victim. Sometimes you do wrong. But somebody who makes it all about them is wanting you to abandon yourself. Anytime that you get hurt, they make it about them. They make it about their pain. They create the mess, but they want to play you. They want you to be the villain for reacting to it. Again, this ain't just manipulation. This is victim identity theft. That's what this is. He wants to steal your legitimate victimhood in a sense. Now, I'm not saying you were a victim by default, by identity, but then he wants to make himself the injured party in his own crime scene. Run from dudes who create chaos and then claim innocence in the same breath. You will ruin your mental health dealing with a guy like that. And don't think, because this is what she said to me. Well, maybe it's just like he just struggles with accountability and he just struggles. It's not that he struggles with accountability. He ain't just avoiding accountability. He is reverse engineering reality to make his consequences your fault. That's what's going on. Again, this is gender neutral. This is gender neutral now. But this is a woman that inspired this conversation. So a man in this situation will literally rewrite the story to make his actions disappear and your reactions the main plot. Anytime you say, hey, I want this to be better. Hey, I'm bothered by this. Hey, when this happened, this really hurt me, et cetera, et cetera. Your response to his behavior is going to become the problem instead of his behavior. He will not have the capacity to just stick with what it is you brought up that you want to be better. Or if there's something that you're doing and you already told him about it, hey, this is why I don't talk as much. This is why I don't want to have sex as much. This is why I don't want to be as affectionate. This is why I don't have the most upbeat energy. And you told him. But he's ignored what you told him preceded that. He just wants to focus strictly on how you're reacting to his actions. That is the epitome of manipulation. Or if he consistently cancels plans and shows up late, so at some point you stop making yourself available for his last minute invitations, and now he wants to call you quote unquote difficult, or you always giving him a hard time, or you never want to spend time together. He's just going to conveniently erase his unreliability from the story and make your boundaries the villain. Nobody wants to set themselves up over and over again to get disappointed. Nobody wants to set themselves up to not know when the next time that you're going to come through or be that. Like, nobody wants to do that. But he's going to take focus off of what he did to create this situation and strictly pin it on you. Now, it's like, oh, well, that's okay, D. I mean, that's not going to break me. Yeah. If you're not in love, if you're not vulnerable, but at some point you're going to be, which is going to increase the emotional proximity he has to hurt you. It's different when you're dealing with a complete stranger, somebody you just started talking to. They ain't got no proximity. You don't care what they do. This is how people fall into situationships. You don't care to have boundaries because this person can't hurt you. What they do when you're not around don't matter. But when somebody has emotional proximity to you, they have access to those buttons to hurt you, to hurt your mental health, to hurt your physical well-being, etc. And even worse, if you're not in position to move around, when it proves there's literally no resolving this. There's no improving the situation. They're not willing to do their part. That's the situation you all can control. You can't control if somebody play with you or disrespect or take you for granted. You can control if they can continue to do it. And I done got emails and DMs with D, what if this, what if that? I totally understand. There are many reasons why you might stay in a situation too long. Matter of fact, I'm going to put this here, because I know somebody going to ask about it. But mentally, emotionally, always create the ability to move around by being somewhat independent until this person proves otherwise. So emotionally, mentally, you should always have hobbies, friends, family. You shouldn't depend on this one person to meet all of your emotional needs, to always be in a mentally good place. It's great if they can contribute. But should he prove he has no interest in doing that consistently, you need the ability to move around and not be dependent on him. I understand sexually. Look, we all grown. I recommend celibacy or toys, but you need to have something that you can move around to where you ain't dependent on this man to meet your sexual needs if he proves he's not going to be faithful or he's not going to be consistent in whatever way that you need him to be financially. Now, if you got $20,000 in the bank, you good. If you got a 700 plus credit score, you good. If you don't got 20,000, if you don't got a 700 plus credit score, honestly, I would say the fastest way to get financially, if not stable, at least with some peace of mind, because you know that you can move around, is to go ahead and work on your credit. Find you a legitimate credit repair specialist, or maybe you can go out here and learn it, how to do it yourself. That's fine, however you want to do it. But get you because in the 3 to 4 weeks, you can repair any level of credit. Late payments, bankruptcies don't matter. And that 700 plus credit score, once you get your credit repaired, is going to count just like a $20,000 bank account balance, because that's what you can go and get from the bank in terms of a credit card. You actually can get more than that, but I'm just on the minimum. And with that, you can position yourself to move out if you need to take care. Now, if you got a man who's providing for you, and let me go ahead and put my credit repair specialist, because there's a lot of people out here who do stuff. I can't vouch for nobody, but this guy who fixed my credit when I needed it, when I had a 490 credit score, and he brought it up to an 816 in 30 days. And by the way, he's running that discount. I know I told some of y'all missed it, but he normally charges $2,000. He's only charging $250 for, actually, it ends tonight. He said this weekend, it ends tonight. If you want access to his credit repair, where he'll completely restore your credit, everything negative off, yes, legally, because I'm promoting it. First off, I wouldn't do that if it was illegal. Comment the word fixed. I will send you a link so you can get my credit repair specialist. I just put it down there in the comments. But back to what I was saying. If you don't got money, if you don't got this credit score, maybe you got a provider and he's already proven that good times, bad times, he got your back. I'm not talking to you. We don't live in that era, but I do know some of us are still out here where good times or bad times, you never have to question if this man is going to make sure that you ate, if this man's going to make sure you got a place to lay your head, if this man's going to make sure that you got some disposable income. He don't sit there and leverage that as a power move. If you got a provider like that, this ain't for you. Because even if y'all fall out and can't work out, no matter how badly he showed up in the relationship, he gonna make sure you straight. But if you don't got a provider like that, if you got the kind of man who pays some bills, but the moment y'all start having any kind of argument, he start threatening and telling you if you don't like it, you can leave. And man, look, you need to financially anchor yourself down for yourself to where if you absolutely cannot do it anymore, you can move around and you're going to be straight. You absolutely owe it to yourself. But back to what I was saying, be very wary of men who make themselves the victim in situations, problems they cause. If he weaponizes his emotions to escape the consequences of his actions, using his tears as a get out of jail free card, that's who I'm talking about. Emotional manipulation disguised as sensitivity and vulnerability. That's all he's going to use. And he's always going to make his hurt feelings more important than your legitimate grievances. He's always going to make his hurt feelings more important. He's going to make sure that's what steals the show. That's where the conversation goes. You confront him about him lying. Then all of a sudden he crying about how you don't trust him. And, you know, this is so exhausting and always got to fake. You always want to talk about this and how your accusations really hurt him. How can you say this? The conversation shifts from his dishonesty to you comforting his wounded feelings about him being caught up. And how you can't sleep good at night laying next to a liar. how you always got to second guess something that he says and you need proof first because he's proven to be a liar. And essentially what he does in this situation, he turns your pain into his spotlight moment. He makes it about him. The moment you speak up, he uses that as his microphone to say how he feels and leaves you feeling like, oh man, I ain't even get to mention how I feel. I ain't even get to speak on it. That's what I'm talking about. These type of brothers will ruin your mental health if you're not careful. Yeah, share this. Oh, Donisha, you shared? Shout out to you. If you share this right now. Share this right now and comment share so I can shout you out. Alicia says, mine says I'm the reason why he lost everything. No, his secret crack addiction did. Oh yeah, they're always going to want to paint the pit. They always want you to be the villain. They're always going to paint the picture. A person who cannot take accountability is always going to rewrite the story so they're the victim. They gotta be the victim, no matter what. They'll literally just opt out of reality and make themselves the victim. D. Lewis, shout out to you for sharing. Appreciate you. But stay away from men who will practice selective amnesia, where they got crystal clear memory of every reaction that you have, but they got a blackout of what caused it. Joyce says narcissist. Yeah, a lot of times. Absolutely. Now, sometimes, even if it's not a narcissist by diagnosis, because most times it's not going to be a diagnosed the narcissistic tendency is what you have to protect yourself from. The narcissistic tendency. Alexandra says, how can you tell if a man in prison is really into you? I'm not saying that dudes in prison are all bad. There's people in there for different situations, but I would caution you against a man who's operating from that place where he needs somebody. I don't know if you met him while he was in prison or if you met him before and he went to prison, etc. I would just say operate with caution. I wouldn't gauge nothing until that man is out of a situation where he needs somebody. He's operating from a place of a void. His whole life has a void. I would not trust that at all. He ain't even got no options. He needs somebody to pick up that phone. But let me stay on topic. Y'all know I got ADHD. I'll be all over the place. Again, watch out for guys who have perfect recall for your emotional responses, but then they got convenient memory loss about the triggering behavior. I'm not talking about they honestly didn't know, but then you brought it up and they said, oh, okay, I can see how that leads to this. I can see how you got from point A to point B now. I didn't know how what I did affected you that way. That's different. That's different. But a person that always has to rewrite the story and then stand on that as if what they did had no impact on you, what they did had no effect on you or shouldn't have no effect on you. No. Your angry reactions are always remembered, but his actions that created it, they're just mysteriously forgotten. He remembers exactly how you flew off the handle, exactly how you got loud, exactly how you started cussing, exactly how you walked out. He remembered that, but he can't recall what he did that triggered it. And he'll tell everybody you lost it over nothing. You just all of a sudden you just started and you were almost going to hit him. You just walked upon him and you were aggressive and you were this, that, and the other. But they conveniently leave out what preceded that. He's going to admit how he broke another promise. He's going to admit how he just disrespected you, yelled at you, talked over you, disrespected you in front of your friends, dismissed your feelings for the third time that day, that week. Always trying to make you out to be the problem. Somebody says, yes, this credit, when you click this link or the link that, for those of y'all who comment the word fix, again, this ends tonight, by the way. His discount ends tonight. And if you get any legitimate credit repair specialist, it's going to cost you at least $2,000, $1,500 to $2,000. I think that's the lowest I've seen. He's doing a discount now for those that want a fresh start. For those of y'all who want a fresh start with your credit, you got any kind, your credit score starts with a 4, a 5, or a 6. He's taking people to the end of the night, midnight tonight, the ends tonight for just $250, and he'll completely restore your credit. He did mine in 30 days. And on that link, I show what my results were working with him. This is my credit repair specialist, not somebody I think is good at credit repair. I just know him. No, this is my guy. So no gatekeeping. Comment the word fixed and I'll send you a link so you can get access to this discounted, legitimate credit repair specialist. And in a month, you're going to have a completely different credit score. It's going to, I ain't going to, let me just leave that there. If you go to the link, you'll see. Back to what I was saying. Be mindful of when you're dealing with these people. A lot of times they have a story in their head they're so committed to. And that's where their quote unquote stability is. That's where their ego lies. You'll be surprised. Men got more ego than just money, muscles, looks. A lot of men have an emotional ego. The emotional ego says, emotionally, I'm always on this end of things. Let me cook for a second. Emotionally, the ego emotionally says, I'm never the one that does anybody else wrong. I'm never the one that steps on anybody else's toes. I'm never the one that disrespects somebody else who did not deserve it. I'm never that person. The emotional ego, basically the idea a person has of themselves in an emotional context to anybody else. A lot of men have an emotional ego and they will protect that like their life depends on it, no matter how contrary to real life it is. You can't do nothing with it. If he's so committed to that emotional ego, it don't matter how bad he do you. It don't matter what version of you he brings forth. It don't matter how much he neglects you. It don't matter how much he dismisses you. The words, the way that he remembers, the way that he reframes things, is always going to put him in that position where you did him wrong. It don't matter what the truth is. Nobody was there to see it but y'all. And even worse, if he got some dumb homeboys that he going to go talk to, and all they going to do is make him feel even more loud and wrong. They just going to make him feel even more certified that, that she crazy, man. Like she still messed up over her last relationship, man. Like, and they ain't going to ask no questions. Because they don't care. They probably ain't got no good relationship themselves. So they don't mind his relationship going to ish. They're not going to help him build relationship skills and maturity and humility and self-awareness and accountability. They're not about to do that. He got friends that are supportive of that emotional ego. They're aligned with that. Some people only have friends that make them feel good. They don't have friends that force them to do better. Complete difference. But this kind of man he has mastered the art of consequence dodging. Every outcome of his behavior is somehow somebody else's responsibility. Every outcome. You can talk to him, you can tell him, you can explain to him, you can let him know what you need on a daily, weekly, monthly basis before you even get serious in a relationship. It don't matter. Whatever happens wrong in that relationship, no matter what he brings in, is somebody else's fault. His actions have effects, but he's never responsible for those effects. His actions have impact, but he's never the reason why. You got trust issues, man. You over there, you must be on your period. You really mad at, how you gonna tell you? How you gonna tell you? Not saying like he's never right. Like nobody can ever give you a perspective from the outside that makes sense. But how he gonna dictate for you? How? You said, baby, you know, when you said this word, it impacted me like this. I feel like that's a degrading term, and I don't like that whenever you do that. You just uptight because you don't like the truth. Man, kill all that rhetoric. Kill all of that rhetoric. That's just him turning every confrontation into the victim Olympics of who's suffering more. He can't handle being the problem, so he becomes a bigger problem that requires your attention. It requires your focus. He transforms accountability conversations into comfort the perpetrator sessions. You come into the conversation wanting to unpack, deal with, be transparent about something that's truly affecting you so that you guys can progress through it, resolve it, and leave it alone. You leave that conversation feeling like, one, he heard nothing that you said, cared about nothing that you said, and all you did was end up comforting him about how he feels about your reaction to what he did to you. Comment I if you've ever been in that situation. Comment I down in the chat. If you've ever been in that situation, I want to know if this sister who inspired this conversation is alone or not. Man, you talking about a perpetual lifetime career victim? You try to discuss how his dismissive attitude affects you, and then suddenly he's talking about his childhood trauma, his work stress, how nobody appreciates anything that he does. By the end of the conversation, you apologizing to him, and he never even addressed the original issue. He done went all around the world, talked about everything else except what the main thing was. He didn't even care to talk about the main thing. He just wanted to make sure that that was not the conversation. Anything that he did was not the conversation. He didn't even care what y'all talked about, long as it wasn't something that required him to be accountable. In that situation, a man hijacks your pain with his performance. Lindsay says, Shaquita put several. Man. So y'all know y'all know what I'm saying. This kind of man is fluent in Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender making you the abuser for addressing his abuse. Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Makes you the abuser for addressing the issue. You are the one that's always being negative. You the one that want to have conversations about negative things instead of just having fun and being cool and keeping things light. You are the problem. Systematic reversal of roles where the harmed one becomes the harmer. That's manipulation. You became the aggressor for defending yourself against his aggression. That's manipulation. He can call you names. He can get loud with you. He can get aggressive with you all in every argument. But when you defend yourself or you set a boundary or you withdraw, you become the one who's wrong, petty, attacking him, immature, spiteful, etc. He portrays your self-defense as aggression, and his aggression as justified responses to your attacks. He wants to start the story where you reacted. And so you end up feeling like the bad guy for protecting yourself from his bad behavior. Yeah, this kind of guy over time will erode your mental health. You have to be careful. Because that man's victimhood is strategic. It's designed to make you the perpetrator, so you'll focus on managing his feelings instead of addressing his behavior. That professional victim status, it protects him from professional accountability. That's what it does. Your guilt becomes a shield against his consequences. Let me see. But Anita says by the end of the conversation, I'm the one feeling bad every single time. Every single time. Alexandra says, how do I get in a new relationship when I have past trauma from men? You got to make sure the trauma gets dealt with. You got to take some time, take some space, and you got to deal with the trauma so your new chapter doesn't include that part of it. Just the lessons that you learn. But back to what I was saying. If you're dealing with a man and every time you try to address his patterns of disrespect, you try to address his patterns of getting loud or being defensive or making everything about him or turning everything around on you, and he becomes so quote unquote hurt by your quote unquote accusations that you end up comforting him instead of getting the resolution. His emotional distress at being held accountable becomes more important than your emotional distress from his behavior. Like he's literally weaponizing his feelings to avoid changing his actions. I hope somebody is picking up what I'm putting down. I hope somebody's picking up what I'm putting down. And again, you got to be mindful because a lot of these guys will leverage some aspect of control. It may not be physical where he wants to just try to threaten physical harm if you dare leave him. But he'll try to leverage something you came in missing, needing, wanting. And he's hoping that's going to be his leverage. So he don't actually have to deal with his actions, his impact on you. He don't have to face that. And that's why you got to date from a place of who do I want, not who do I quote unquote need. And that's on every level. Again, sexually, there is an alternative. I'm not saying go out here and sleep with nobody else. But again, celibacy, toys, you don't need to stay digmatized by nobody, no matter how good it is. There's other men out there who can do what he did and even better, especially when they're willing to meet your emotional needs. You will be all right. If he has some good, there's other good stuff out there, I promise you. Emotionally, mentally. Your whole world ain't got to revolve around no one person. Have you some friends? Have you some family members? Eventually that romantic aspect will come back in when your heart is truly ready. And again, I got to stress this. We don't like to talk about it, but the financial aspect. If you ain't got $20,000 in that bank, if you ain't got a 700 plus credit score, or the man that you having these issues with has not proven himself to be a provider unconditionally. Emphasis on unconditionally. He has not proven that he'll provide for you when y'all having good days, when y'all having bad days, when he feel like you on his good side and you meeting his needs, when he feel like you ain't, when he feel like you being disrespectful, or when he feel like you worshiping the ground that he walk on. If he ain't proven, he will provide for you, take care of you. You ain't got to worry about nothing. You ask and it's done. If he ain't proven, he'll do that no matter what. You financially have a responsibility to, if you can't become financially free or whatever, you at least need the ability to move around if that relationship is destroying you and he's not willing to put in the work, change his behavior, address himself in order to course correct. And the fastest way to do that, no matter what job you got, no matter what your situation is, everybody can't go out here and just stack 20,000. I get that. That takes some time. But everybody can get their credit together so you can go to the bank immediately and get approved for a $20,000 or more credit card. And the only way you're going to do that is if you have a 700 credit score. That's something, some people think they got to live with bad credit and all these collections on they, late payments. Well, I did forget to pay. I'm not saying you need to lie, but there are laws that legally will get those things off your credit report. Even if you did make some mistakes. I made some. That's how I had a 490. I'm not ashamed to say it because I got an 816 now. After getting with Eli, my credit repair specialist, it took 30 days. I had that bad credit for over a year. It took 30 days to get those negative things off legally, quickly. Now you can go to any credit repair specialist. You can even learn how to do this yourself if you want to. I'd like to have somebody who knows what they're doing so they can get it done and get it done quick and get it done right. If you want my credit repair specialist, comment the word fixed and he'll take care of you. And you'll get a crazy discount but that's only till midnight. Comment the word fixed and you'll get his discount on total credit repair. Bankruptcies, lates, collections, repossessions don't matter. You made a mistake. You think you made whatever the case is. But that's the fastest way to at least get in position where you're not dependent on him, especially if he's proven he cannot be depended on. Y'all fall out and the first thing he ready to say is you going to do this and you going to get out and you going to pay for your own. Okay. You see, with a good credit score, you can say, all right, that's what you think. But stay away from those who play victim in the situation they created and the problems they created. Again, that's not just a man who's avoiding accountability. That's a man who's reverse engineering reality. He wants his consequences to be your fault. And he'll weaponize any and everything, even if it means just distracting you from the topic at hand, the conversation at hand. If it means highlighting something you already apologized for, you already addressed already, and he brings it up again. Even it's legitimate, but it's something y'all have resolved, y'all have talked about. Anything he can do to steal the victim identity in this situation, he's going to do. He's going to do. That performance is designed to make you the perpetrator for wanting basic accountability. But don't let any man make you the villain in the story where they hurt you. Straight up. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet big bro. Y'all know I get passionate when I talk about these things. But if anything I said was true, if you know I spoke the truth, and only if you feel like anything I said was true, I don't ask for money here. I get money other ways. But I do ask that you pay it forward to somebody else who may need this message at the moment you click that little arrow down there to share it on your page. If you believe what I said was truth, be a vessel for the truth today. Hit that little arrow down there, share that good karma gonna bless you. Again, I'm your internet big bro. You know I got your back. And for those of y'all who got a credit score that start with a 4, 5, or 6, or you ain't got 20,000 in the bank right now, and you don't have a provider, man, that proves whether you leave him today, whether y'all fall out today, he gonna take care of you. If that's not you, the quickest way to make sure you're financially secured and good is to get you a 700 credit score or more by way of credit repair, a fresh start. My credit repair specialist, not somebody I think is good, is available and taking people now at almost 90% off. The link I put down here in the comments will get you there, and it shows you the results that he got me. I literally did a video showing you my credit score, my credit report after his work. Or comment the word fixed and I'll send you a link so you can get access. Can't say that I try to help you. Comment the word fixed and I'll send it to you right now. Holla at you, lady. I'll be good. Peace.